Tony, good to see you after.
Nice to see you again. Nice to see you.
We were talking earlier to some of the other suppliers, and a lot of the conversation we had today was about uncertainty. Now, in a funny way, is the water market suffering from uncertainty? It was launched with a big fanfare. It was like, something new. It looked like they was getting some traction, and then it's had a bit of a wobble. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's like any market needs time to evolve.
Yeah.
And I always draw parallels to other markets that have actually opened up, and the one that's, I suppose, most adjacent to the English market is the Scottish market. 5 years into the Scottish market, 2% of the market had switched. 2 years into our market, 8% of the market switched. So I think you could argue, has it been a success? I think in different segments of the market, it's been a success and it's evolved, but it's not without its challenges.
Are those challenges to do with the way the market was set up? There's been a lot of criticism of that. What's your take on that?
I think there's a combination. I think the biggest challenge that we faced is market data. So the data that was put into the market, whether or not that was actually accurate. So that could be something as simple as meter location data. So to enable to deliver a customer an accurate bill, you need to read a meter, you need to know where that meter is. And what we've found is that that meter location data hasn't always been accurate. So that's a good example of where perhaps wholesale data hasn't been great. In terms of onus on retailers and challenges within retailers, I mean, if I give you an example of trying to consolidate a national customer, which was going to be one of the benefits that we knew pre-market opening, this administrative benefit to large multi-site organisations, you often have to consolidate across 20 different wholesale businesses and probably more than 2,000 different tariffs. So that's not without its own challenges. Also, the third and actually really important point is that when the market was set up, the regulator didn't inject margin in for certain activities. So for example, I mentioned meter reading. We weren't credited with that margin. It was that margin comes out of, that cost comes out of our margin. Market participation costs come out of that margin. The cost of capital, the cost of risk of debt, all comes out of the margin. And none of that was preempted by the regulator.
Ofwat has been subject to some criticism lately, along with Ofgem and the FCA and FSA. It might be too strong a word, but is the market fundamentally flawed? Is the market salvageable? Or do you think the market is just going through, as you said, a teething system and it can be saved, or has it been built on the wrong bricks? You know what
I think it's teething. No, so I think it's teething. I think if you
what they've constructed actually fundamentally is okay.
I think that, again, drawing the parallel with the Scottish market, at the inception of the Scottish market, there was only 10.8% gross margin available. And what the regulator recognised is that that wasn't enough to affect good competition. And that margin was then, there was a further margin injection over time.
What, to monitor and adjust?
I think there's an opportunity to do that when you actually look at PR19, when you look at everything that's happened around the REC consultation, which is public domain information now. Every respondent has actually said we could do with more margin into this market, which would actually help propagate the market. I also think that that actually some of the user groups, so we've got the UK Wholesaler Group, the UK Retailer Forum, actually utilising and listening to them will actually help the business. And we're engaged in all of those groups. We're engaged with Ofwat, we're engaged with Mosul in those conversations. So I think it's solvable.
Conversations than I've ever had with Mosul. I mean, that says something. But anyway, we'll put that aside. Today's all been about the brokers, and of course, you guys have, we've been grateful that you've been here and you've been supporting us pretty much since this started. Have brokers lost some of the passion for water? What's their feeling? What's the feedback you're getting?
Yeah, I think, and this is where we hold our hands up and have to recognise it's not been a smooth experience for them.
We're very keen on this market. I remember sessions that were packed out.
Absolutely, it would be wrong of me to sit here and think that actually even Water Plus have delivered a wonderful service to those brokers. I think generally across the piece, the brokers have actually had significant challenges with every retailer. And because we're the largest,
of course,
then those challenges would appear to be much greater. I think brokers, it was always about, can you make it easy for me? And right now, we haven't made it easy.
Yeah.
However, we've invested a substantial amount of money during 2018, and things are improving. We're now coming out of the solving the issues that we've had with resourcing in terms of query resolution, with the technology challenges that we've actually had, and we've got a clear plan. So I think as we move forward, the benefits will realise themselves.
Have you had good conversations? Have they engaged with you today?
Absolutely. We've had some great conversations, and we've had some great opportunities. And for us, what we have done.
Interest is still out there from the broker market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's not just in retail contracts. It's where else those brokers can go. So we're now introducing them to things like water efficiency. So where else can they do with their customers to actually deliver greater savings? Not just a discount against the default retail charge, but how can we make real tangible savings in terms of lowering the consumption permanently?
Just this week when we're filming this, we've had a warning about water shortages in 25 years for the UK.
Yep.
Here we are in Manchester, you never think you get a water shortage. Putting the flippancy aside, some believe that the actual next big commodity is water, because it's so vital with everything, not just forgetting the structures and infrastructure, but life itself. And are we now, with all the things that have happened and the criticism of water companies, some of which I think is fair, some unfair, about wastage and stuff like that, are we now really going to have to look at water as a commodity?
I think absolutely, and I think there's significant opportunities, because I've read the same stories you have,
yes,
and about scarcity in 25 years. And I think if actually we put a lot more effort on water efficiency, demand-side management, then actually we could overcome some of those issues, or certainly lessen some of those issues. And from Water Plus's perspective, we've actually now, we're reaching out for creative thinkers, innovators in the market. We're actually running a competition to reach out there for innovators to look at what's the next new technology, and we're offering up prizes now out there for individuals to bring those solutions to us. So I do think that that's an area where actually we could put more focus.
With the energy side, and I know you're an ex-energy man, there's this kind of whole conversation around storage and EVs. What's the next big thing for water? Assuming, as you say, these are teething troubles and the market starts to grow over the next 4 or 5 years, where is the innovation in the water side going to come? What are you going to offer these people here as products to put to their customers?
So I think it's more water efficiency equipment.
Right.
I don't know if you saw a recent post I actually had on LinkedIn, which was about a wonderful shower I had at a hotel in London this week.
Right.
And actually, I was making a point that actually it was a water efficient shower head that had. It was aerated, it had massaging properties, and genuinely, it was a wonderful product. And as I was having a shower and looking down, there wasn't that much water. It was a product that worked really well.
Yeah.
So I think focusing on those sorts of products, as well as grey water, rainwater harvesting. So grey water recycling, rainwater harvesting. Yeah, I think that's another area to look at, and actually lowering the cost of that technology, retrofitting, lowering not just for new build but for retrofit builds in the UK as well.
And my final point is, looking at where water is transitioning to, is there a fundamental problem, which is the fact that water has to come in pipes and it has to come somewhere, and it's a big heavy thing to move, whereas electricity is very easy to be and much more fluid? Will there ever really be proper competition, you think, in the water market, bearing in mind what the commodity is and the limitations around it?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think it is one. This is a safe political answer here, Sumit, which is kind of one for the regulator.
Yes.
But I think fundamentally, do we have areas where there's more water than other areas? Yes.
Yeah.
I think the key question of how could you make the UK as an island more resilient? I think consultation around that and a better understanding. I think technology does factor into that. I think what we've actually seen in energy is more distributed technology. So why not have something similar in water? So it doesn't actually need to be transported. You actually just use less of it in that region.
Yeah.
So that's a possible solution.
And your final message to the brokers here about conversations you're willing to have: don't give up on the water market.
Don't give up on the water market. Don't give up on Water Plus. I've always said, as I've sat here in many panels, we've embraced the broker channel since day one. We're working very hard behind the scenes, lots of investment going in to make it an easier journey for both the brokers and our customers.